Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. Life can be challenging for students. It can be challenging for their parents. Now take that layers deeper when it is a child with special needs. A lot of times there are services available you might not be aware of. We're going to talk with somebody today that advocates for these children and their parents, and today focus on special needs children being excluded from certain events that their peers have access to and are allowed to do. Her company is called IEP Parent Advocacy ARC, and it's great to have her back with us. Sherrell Scott is on the program. Hey, Sherrell, how you doing?
Great. How are you doing today?
Real good. Real good. And you know what? We've talked before. I never even thought of this situation where there's certain events going on, certain activities, and kids with special needs being excluded from them. And that's something in your wheelhouse that you help out with. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so I had a scenario where I was seeing someone had posted about a child had been banned from extracurricular activity and field trips. And so I'm like, that's not, the proper way to do it. You're not supposed to ban a child from extracurricular activities or field trips just because of a disability. Students with disabilities cannot be excluded. Once again, they cannot be excluded from field trips or extracurricular activities. Even those with complex behaviors such as elopement or high needs, they can be put in the IEP for them to have a nursing care. Schools are required to provide accommodations through the IEP and behavior plan.
Wow. I want to make sure that we have that understood clearly. So let's say there's a field trip. Let's say there's an event. It doesn't matter what the situation is with the child. The child has a right to be included in that. And if there are some challenges in doing so, let's say mobility or travel or whatever it might be, then am I hearing you right that the school would need to provide provisions for that?
Absolutely. If you have a child with special needs, it's important to remember that they are legally entitled to participate in any field trip or extracurricular activities that their typically developing peers attend. Once again, it is important to remember that they are legally entitled to participate in any field trips or extracurricular activities that their typically developing peers attend.
Wow. Well, I'm sure a lot of parents don't even realize that and just assume that, well, they're not going to be able to do it. They're going to have some challenges. So, they're not going to go. I understand. But no, they're entitled to attend.
Absolutely. They are entitled to attend because the ADA, which is the Americans with Disability Act, and student athletes, the ADA specifies the students with disabilities must have the same opportunities to participate in sports and activities as anyone else. Equal access to the team facilities, including fields, courts, locker rooms, meeting areas, exercise equipment, and other amenities must be provided.
Let's say you're in a situation as a parent and you're getting some pushback from the school. Or let's say, again, I'm going to go hypothetical here. Let's say your child requires a wheelchair and your child wants to go on that field trip and the school is not providing the wheelchair, not providing the support. What would you do in that situation?
What I would do is I would have an IEP meeting. I would address the issue, and I would ask them what is driving the no. And then I need to have documentation given to me that supports their no. And then once I know they really don't have any information that's going to support the no, other than they just don't want to be bothered, I would tell them, according to rights law, a 2010 court ruling held that IDA IDEA requires school districts to take steps to provide extracurricular, non-academic activities and to afford the student an equal opportunity to participate.
Mm. And from there, if you're not getting, let's just say you're not getting any resolution, you're not hearing back from the school, they're not addressing it. Now the event's coming up very soon. Where do you go with that? How do you elevate it?
Next, I would just file a complaint, and that would indicate in the email everybody involved that I spoke to, whomever that person was that told me the child couldn't do it. They would be included, the principal at that specific school, the person that's over the special education department. Everybody would be included on what transpired and why it transpired.
Hmm. And if somebody engaged you to take care of that situation, would you be the one, call it the point person for a lot of this?
I could actually be the point person that helps the parent navigate this situation, because most parents are so told so often the word no that they don't phantom thinking, well, hey, I might want my child to participate in this, but I'm just so reluctant to ask because I'm accustomed to getting the word no.
Right. All right. Well, I said last time we got together, you're a pit bull, and that's a compliment.
Thank you. I just love to be resilient about something I'm passionate about, because it's not fair to sit there and not give a child what they are entitled to, because they are entitled to go on a field trip.
I totally agree with you, and I'm going to say it again. Many times we forget that we're paying taxes. It's not like the district is just giving you a freebie. Yeah, we're going to give your kid an education. Here you go. It's free. No, you're paying for it. We all are. So.
Right, exactly. Because like you were saying, like what to do if the child is excluded. Number one, ask for the exclusion and the rationale in writing. If you're told verbally, send an email summarizing your understanding of the situation. Number two, notify special education director in writing. Remember before I was indicating that of the writing, the email? And then you have to inform them that my child, your child name, if it's crossed, for example, was not welcome on the field trip because reason given. You got to put down the reason they gave because of that. Then I believe the exclusion is discriminatory and a violation of the ADA 504X. Please let me know when we can meet to resolve this. And so I can help them further along with this letter, informing them of what they're doing is unfair and unlawful.
I love that. I love the way that it's almost as if you've already written the letter. You know the language to use to get those changes done. How about some other situations that have popped up or you've heard about or ones that you can advocate for?
Some other situations I can advocate for?
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about special needs children and events or activities that they could possibly be excluded from.
Okay. Something I've seen is, like, for example, they had a program at the school, and they were calling out kids for different awards, and the kids were going up there getting the awards. And then one of the students, she had autism, and at the end, she was eloping off the stage. And so, to me, elopement is something that they knew that she did, and they should have had somebody prepared to get her before something actually happened.
Just for clarity and just to understand, what happened in this situation?
Elopement is a part of autism, and the student went up there correctly when they called her name, but when she was coming back, that's when the elopement transpired.
How do you define elopement?
Okay, I'm going to give you a definition of it.
Sure.
Okay. Elopement and what it means. It's when you run or wander away from a caregiver or a secure location. But in that instance, I didn't see a caregiver there. And it was a secure location because they've seen her go to the podium and get her award, but when she was coming back is when the elopement transpired.
So what would have made that situation correct?
To me, it would have been better if the caregiver went along aside the student to get their award.
Okay. So accompanied her up to the stage and just been there for support.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Again, these are things that many of us don't realize. You know, if you have a special needs child, you're so focused on just life in general that I truly believe, even for any parent, it's hard to be plugged into everything that's going on within your school and to take these extra steps. So that's thank you, Sherrell, for bringing that to light.
You're most welcome.
Loving the insight here. Any other situations that you've been involved in that, or just hypothetical, where you can support?
Yes. Another area is like, if you're having a meeting, an IEP meeting, and you're promised this, and this, and it was only said verbally, it wasn't put in black and white, it's 9 times out of 10, it won't even transpire. Because I had a parent where she was fighting for her daughter to get this, and this. And she's like, they promised me that they was going to do this for my daughter, and they didn't do it. And I told her, call them and ask for them to put it in writing. And so she got back with me maybe 2 weeks later and told me that everything that they had promised her, they did put it in writing, and she did start seeing a difference in her daughter's progress.
Wow. It's a great reminder that it needs to be in writing. Many of us don't even think about that.
Absolutely.
Wow. Can you walk us through the process of contacting the school in basically any situation? Because it's not something that as a parent we do on a regular basis and may feel a little intimidated in dealing with the school. Who do you contact first in these situations? And then how do you elevate it from there if you're not getting any satisfaction?
Okay. Well, basically, when you're, for example, we're going to have to say the child is already has an IEP, or, we're just going to say the child already has an IEP. Okay. So if the child already has an IEP, you're basically probably are friends with the inclusion teacher that the student has. And so if you're friends with the inclusion teacher, you can call her and inform her that you would like to have an IEP meeting to discuss something that you see going on with your child in which they're not progressing.
So it sounds like to me that it would be in your best interest to really connect with the school, make friends, if you will, with them, so that when those situations come up, they're familiar with you, they're familiar with their child, and just want to say here, we're not being negative on schools. There's many of them do address these situations and do a good job. However, there are times where they don't. And that's where you come in.
Absolutely, we're just talking about being proactive for the needs of the child.
Exactly.
The child is my main focus is for the child to be advocated for properly, and then they effectively have a IEP that accommodates their disability in which they can thrive, not set up and have an IEP that's ineffective. You've been waiting on help since October of last year, and here it is March, and your child still hasn't got speech therapy. It's down on IEP, but the speech therapist isn't available. Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's also through your help identifying what is available. Many of us don't know. Like everything you've talked about today, I would have had no idea that even in an assembly, an awards situation, and that they should be there to support your child. Even walking off the stage, didn't even know that that's something that they should be providing.
Absolutely. It's sometimes it can basically be just the simple things that some people may inadvertently overlook, but it means a lot when the child has the support.
Absolutely. And that's the part that we don't even think of. What about are there any scholarships available once your child is of college age or moving toward that direction?
Once the child is for college age, there's something which they call transition services.
Mm-hmm.
And the high school is responsible for this until the child graduates. They don't tell them, you contact your vocational rehab. This is what we're told last year. For example, True already had a case manager with VR, and I had to help the case manager in high school understand how transitions be done. And so most parents aren't told exactly how things are done when their child is getting ready to transition. I've known a person just lately, a month ago, they were doing the transition part for her daughter, and they were saying that she was going to have to figure it out pretty much herself, with the vocational assessment and what can actually be done for her child once she graduates.
What if you disagree with a school's IEP decisions? What happens from that point?
If I disagree with an IEP decision, I would ask for another IEP meeting.
Okay.
To discuss that I don't agree with that, with what they're doing. Because, see, if they set up and decide to take away services, like, for example, if my child has speech therapy services and they say, well, they haven't met all their goals when it comes to speech. And so if I disagree and say I still think they need it because they may be stuttering and I think they still need it, and then they do an assessment on it, and I turn around, they're saying, well, we don't see that finding that it's still needed. So when that is done, that's when you take it up to, you need to see the results of the assessment done, and you can show them your documentation that you have, your findings, and from there, try to come to a happy medium with it. And if not, I would just go ahead and file a complaint, because if you've paid again for your child to have another assessment done on their speech, and then the school still saying they don't hear it, but the third-party person that you paid does hear the impediment, you just got to have the spirit to keep fighting.
Yeah.
That's basically it, because when they tell you no, you cannot give up, because you're fighting for your child to thrive in that school environment.
Have you ever heard of a paraprofessional? Somebody mentioned that term a while ago.
Yes.
So is that somebody that has some kind of schooling or degree that supports your child?
To me, the paraprofessionals, the ones that I've seen, they really don't support. That's what their job is, to support, but a lot of them don't support. I've seen a lot of horror stories where they were hired. For example, it was this case out of Lakewood, Colorado, where a school paraprofessional in Colorado was sentenced 4 years for sexually assaulting a special needs child. So some of those people are very ineffective in their jobs. They're not there for the right reason. And to take an advantage of a special needs child is just the lowest of the low.
No words. Yeah. Yeah. And in my understanding, a paraprofessional, and there are many great ones out there, I'm sure, but it's not the same as a teacher's aide. You know, a teacher's aide just supports in the classroom. In my understanding, a paraprofessional has a background, has schooling. I think it's a number of years that they're supposed to have, at least 2 years, maybe an associate's degree. Not really sure, but it's a different level where a school may throw a a teacher's aide in the classroom to support a child, which to some extent is okay. But when it's a child that requires more attention, maybe it's not enough. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, well, what a paraprofessional is supposed to play an essential role with the school district under the supervision of a licensed teacher, supports the teacher and students in many ways. For instance, paraprofessional can tutor students or assist the teacher with managing the classroom and organizing instructional materials.
Gotcha. Okay. When you're writing your letter, let's say, you have a case, they're not addressing things. Is there a time frame that you need to reach out to the school?
Well, once you send in a letter to the school, it's a turnaround time frame for the letter. And they're going to state how long it's going to take for them to make a decision.
Okay.
And then once they give you that time frame of them making a decision, they should get back with you. And if they don't get back with you, the next thing I would do is call the director of education for that school district and just ask them for an update of what's going on with your case.
Yeah, I love it. And that's where you are so valuable in those letters. I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't even know what the jargon is, what to ask for, all of that. And I could be wrong on this, but I thought there was a time limit when you submit a letter with a concern regarding any IEP situation. I've heard it's 10 days. They need to be in touch with you or reply to you in some regard within 10 days. Like there's it's not just a free-for-all. They have to adhere to it, not leave you waiting for a month and all of that.
Okay, well, basically, like I was saying before, regarding that, the schools are required by law to respond within a reasonable time.
Okay.
If your child is struggling and, the parents being proactive with the support in order to get their child with the accommodations in which they need. Gotcha.
There's so much involved here, and that's why we need an advocate like you in our corner and in the corner of our children. You do a discovery call. And there's a small fee for that. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely. There's a small fee of $47 for a discovery call. So we can go. I've had discovery calls in the past where I didn't charge, and then it got to the point where I seen the need to charge because at the end of the day, a person has to show that they value what you bring.
Yep.
And so with me, I'm going to enter into that parent's experience of what they're actually going through with their child. I'm deeply invested in what the outcome will be for said child. I'm not just doing it just to be doing it.
And I'm glad you said invested, because I know from the moment you get that phone call, you're completely plugged in. Like, we have a situation and you're mentally and energetically invested in it. And then from there, each on both sides, see if it's a good fit and how you can help them out. What's the best way for somebody to find you, Sherrell?
The best way to find me is to contact me is by calling me at 1-877-809-0707. And my website is www.iepparentadvocacyarc.com.
Thank you for all the insight today. Learned a lot. Things that I didn't even imagine were available or should be made available to children with special needs, and I appreciate it. And look forward next time we get together.
Absolutely. I look forward to you as well. Have a great day.
You too. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.